Have you ever felt a particular kind of exhaustion? It's not the satisfying ache in your muscles after a long day's work. It's a soul-level depletion, a quiet hollowness that comes from giving too much, caring too much, and trying to fix too much. It has a clinical name, compassion fatigue, and it is the silent epidemic of our hyper-connected, always-on culture, disproportionately affecting the most kind-hearted people. We've been handed a foundational code from childhood, a kind of gospel of goodness. It tells us that to be a worthy person, a spiritual, loving, decent person, you must always be available. You must always give. Your default setting must be yes. And if you hesitate, if you dare to set a boundary, a wave of guilt washes over you. You must be selfish. You must be unkind. But what if this entire program is flawed? What if the compulsive need to help, to fix, to rescue everyone who presents you with a problem is not the highest form of love, but a profound spiritual error? What if I told you that this impulse, born of a beautiful and generous heart, often becomes a form of interference, an interference that stunts the growth of the very person you're trying to help, and worse, drains the life force directly from you? To understand this, we need a new map. The old map simply says, help people. The new map is more sophisticated. It comes from psychology, from a powerful tool for understanding toxic relationships, called the Karpman drama triangle. Imagine a play with only 3 roles: the victim, who feels powerless and oppressed; the persecutor, who blames and criticizes; and the rescuer, the hero of the story, the one who swoops in to save the day. Now, if you are the kind of person who feels everything deeply, whose heart aches at the sight of suffering, you have been typecast your entire life in one role, the rescuer. It feels noble. It feels right. But here is the hidden trap of the triangle. The rescuer, in order to feel needed and good, unconsciously needs a victim to save. By constantly solving the victim's problems, the rescuer keeps them powerless, ensuring the drama can continue tomorrow. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of dysfunction disguised as kindness. This is why we are here today. This journey is not about creating a list to judge the bad or dangerous people out there. This is not about hardening your heart. It's about the exact opposite. It's about cultivating a heart so clear, so wise, and so discerning that your compassion becomes a laser, not a floodlight. It's a mirror to help you recognize the dynamics that are costing you your peace, your energy, and your spirit. This is about moving from being a compulsive rescuer to becoming a conscious healer, and that requires learning to distinguish between a genuine call for support and an invitation to a drama. It's learning to tell the difference between an energy investment that yields growth and an energy drain into a spiritual black hole. To break free from this triangle, you must first learn to recognize the other roles you're unconsciously playing with. And the first, most common co-star in the rescuer's drama is the one who is the most difficult to turn away from, because they have mastered the art of powerlessness. Their role cloaks itself in the language of urgency, of crisis, of a problem so compelling that your good heart finds it almost impossible to say no. There is a subtle but profound difference between the statement, "I am struggling," and the declaration, "I am a struggler." The first is a temporary state, a season of life. The second is a permanent identity, a role in a play that never ends. This is the domain of the first archetype you must learn to recognize, not with judgment, but with clarity. This archetype combines the traits of what the old script called the chronically lazy and the perpetually ungrateful into something more potent. The professional victim. This isn't just about someone who avoids work or forgets to say thank you. It's a much deeper psychological pattern. For the professional victim, their suffering is not a problem to be solved. It is a persona to be maintained. Their narrative of hardship is their primary source of identity and, more importantly, their primary tool for getting energy from others. Your help, your sympathy, your resources are not a stepping stone to their recovery. They are fuel for their story. Our culture in a well-intentioned effort to destigmatize mental health and trauma, has accidentally created fertile ground for this archetype to flourish. The work of researchers like Brené Brown has shown us that true vulnerability, the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome, is the bedrock of connection. But the professional victim performs a counterfeit version. It's a vulnerability that seeks not connection, but concession. It's a story told not to be understood, but to disarm you, to make you feel guilty for having boundaries, and to obligate you into the role of rescuer. The struggling person uses your help as a leverage point to push themselves up. They take the support and turn it into action. The professional victim uses your help as a hammock. They will take your energy and simply lie in it, complaining that it's not comfortable enough. And every time you rush in to save them from the consequences of their own inaction, you are participating in a quiet, devastating theft. You are robbing them of the two things they desperately need to develop: resilience and self-efficacy. Resilience is the spiritual and psychological muscle built only by overcoming adversity. It's the knowledge deep in your bones that you can fall and get back up. Self-efficacy is the core belief that I am capable, I can handle this, I have agency over my own life. These qualities cannot be given, they can only be earned through experience. When you constantly pay their rent, solve their relationship drama, or make excuses for their behavior, you are not offering a crutch while a bone mends. You are actively convincing them that their own legs are broken when they are not. You are fostering a learned helplessness that can become a life sentence. Your kindness becomes the very bars of their cage, preventing them from discovering the one thing that could truly save them, their own inner strength. This is also why they are so often ungrateful. In their worldview, your help is not a gift. It is an obligation. It is a tax you owe for being more fortunate, more capable, or more stable than they are. They don't say thank you because, on some level, they believe the world owes them this support. When you give it, you aren't being generous. You are simply paying a debt they feel you owe. And if you stop paying, you are not setting a healthy boundary, you are betraying them. The great tragedy is that as a rescuer, you get a temporary hit of feeling needed, of feeling like a good person, but it's a hollow victory. You are pouring your precious life force, your time, your money, your emotional energy into a black hole. A black hole of entitlement will absorb all the light you shine into it and give nothing back, not even to itself. It never becomes fuller. It simply remains a void. Dealing with a passive black hole that simply absorbs your energy is draining enough. But what happens when you encounter a person who doesn't just drain your reality, but actively tries to bend and distort it? An archetype who wants not your help, but your absolute, unquestioning agreement? This is where the game becomes even more dangerous. Wisdom, it is said, can only enter through an open door. But some people, out of fear, have spent their entire lives constructing a fortress around their mind. They have barricaded the windows, bolted the doors, and mistaken those walls for safety. This is the realm of our next archetype, one that combines the old script's arrogant and incurably foolish into a more precise psychological profile, the feedback-proof individual. This person's problem is not a lack of intelligence. Often they are quite smart. Their problem is a complete inability to update their own mental software. They suffer from what psychologists call extreme confirmation bias. They don't use information to form a conclusion. They form a conclusion and then hunt for any shred of information that supports it, actively discarding anything that contradicts it. They are not seeking truth, they are seeking validation for a truth they have already decided upon. You'll often see this coupled with the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias, where people with low ability in a certain area overestimate their competence. Because their ego cannot tolerate the idea of not knowing, they project an aura of absolute certainty. They don't just have opinions, they have pronouncements. Their way is not just a way, it is the way. When you try to help a person like this, you are not perceived as a friend offering guidance. You are perceived as an enemy attacking the very foundation of their identity. Their entire sense of self is built upon the fragile scaffolding of being right. To admit a mistake, to acknowledge a flaw, to accept that they need help would cause the entire structure to crumble. So instead, they double down, they argue, they deflect, they rationalize, they attack your motives. They will do anything except the one thing that would allow growth: listen. And here, as a rescuer, you step into a profound ethical dilemma. By continuing to push your help, your advice, your wisdom onto someone who is actively rejecting it, you are no longer being compassionate, you are being disrespectful. This is where we must introduce our second, deeper layer of understanding, a philosophical principle that honors personal sovereignty. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood this with perfect clarity. You cannot control another person's mind, their choices, or their reactions. You can only control your own. To try and force wisdom upon another is an act of supreme arrogance on your part. It implies that you know what is best for them better than they or the universe does. True love, true spiritual respect, sometimes means granting another person the full dignity of their own choices, even if you can see those choices leading to disaster. Your job is not to shatter the walls of their fortress. That is an act of violence. Your job is to simply check if the door is open. If you offer a key, a piece of advice, a different perspective, and they refuse to take it, you must respect their choice. You cannot want their healing more than they do. To keep hammering on a locked door only exhausts you and strengthens their resolve to keep it shut. Jesus, a figure often held up as the ultimate helper, consistently demonstrated this principle. He offered his teachings freely, but he did not chase after those who rejected them. He did not beg the self-righteous to listen. He understood that some seeds must fall on rocky ground. He let them go, not out of indifference, but out of a profound respect for their free will. The feedback-proof individual cannot be taught by you. They can only be taught by life. They must experience the natural consequences of their own certainty. Often, this means they must fail. They must drive their car with full confidence directly into a wall that you tried to warn them about. And only then, sitting in the wreckage of their own making, humbled by the undeniable reality of their mistake, might the door to their fortress finally creak open. Only then might they be ready to receive what you were trying to offer. Until that moment, your energy is wasted. You are not a rescuer, you are an annoyance. And the most compassionate thing you can do is to step back, get out of the way of their life lesson, and let them have it. But what about those who don't just reject your help, but actively pretend to need it as a tool for control? This is where we move from the passively draining archetypes to the active emotional predators, the ones who don't just build walls, but set traps. The most dangerous people are not the ones who approach you with a sword. They are the ones who approach you with a story that brings tears to your eyes, crafted to trigger your deepest empathy. They come with praise that makes you feel seen and special, and a perfectly constructed mask of vulnerability that hides a profound emptiness within. These are the shadow players. They have moved beyond passively draining your energy. They actively hunt for it. Here we combine the old script's habitually wicked and master manipulator into two modern, psychologically precise archetypes, the covert narcissist and the agent of chaos. Unlike the grandiose, obvious narcissist, the covert narcissist's primary tool is not arrogance, but a performance of victimhood. They are masters of what's called gaslighting, subtly manipulating situations and words to make you question your own sanity and perception. They engage in love bombing, overwhelming you with affection and attention at the beginning, only to withdraw it and leave you desperate to win back their approval during the inevitable devaluation phase. Experts in this field, like Dr. Ramani Durvasula, have extensively documented how these individuals target empaths precisely because your kindness, your willingness to give the benefit of the doubt, is the perfect fuel source. These archetypes don't want your help. They want what narcissism researchers call narcissistic supply. Your attention, your emotional reactions, both positive and negative, your resources, your praise. This is the food they need to sustain their fragile sense of self. They are emotional vampires. When you help a person like this, you are not mending a wounded soul. You are offering your own wrist, providing the energy for a parasitic system to continue. You are not an ally, you are an appliance. Then there is the agent of chaos. This individual may not have the clinical traits of a narcissist, but they are addicted to drama. Their life is a constant whirlwind of crises, emergencies, and conflicts, and they are always at the center of it. They thrive in instability because it makes them feel alive and important. They will draw you into their chaos with urgent requests, pitting people against each other, and creating problems simply so they can watch the fallout. When you step in to help them, you are not resolving a problem. You are becoming a character in their never-ending soap opera. You are giving them a new storyline. And the moment you try to bring calm, logic, or stability, you become boring to them. Or worse, you become the enemy, the person trying to stop their show. They don't want peace, they want an audience. With both of these shadow players, your empathy is used as a weapon against you. They know that good people feel guilty saying no. They know that kind people want to believe the best in others. They count on it. They are expert actors, and their greatest performance is that of a person in need. When you finally see through the act, when you finally set a boundary and stop providing supply, their mask will drop. The helpless victim will suddenly become a vicious persecutor. They will twist the narrative, painting you as the villain, the abuser, the selfish one who abandoned them in their time of need. They will go on a smear campaign, telling everyone how you wronged them, all while they are already grooming their next target. This is often the most painful part of the awakening for a rescuer. It's the realization that the person you were pouring your heart into was not just wounded, but was actively and intentionally using you. It can make you feel naive, foolish, and deeply cynical. Recognizing these predators when they are strangers or colleagues is one level of awakening. But what do you do when the predator is someone you love? What do you do with the one you keep making excuses for? The one you cling to with the desperate hope that this time will be different, that this time they will finally change. Perhaps the deepest ache for the rescuer comes not from the people we cannot help, but from the people we love who refuse to help themselves. This is the final and most intimate archetype, the one that drains more energy than all the others combined, because our hearts are so deeply entangled. This is not the stranger or the colleague. This is the partner, the sibling, the parent, the lifelong friend. We call this archetype the potential project. You love this person not for who they are right now, but for who you know they could be. You see the brilliant, healthy, capable person hiding beneath the layers of addiction, self-sabotage, or chronic negativity. And so you pour your energy into this project. You hope that your love will be the magic ingredient that finally unlocks their potential. You become their cheerleader, their manager, their safety net. You keep fighting for their healing harder than they fight for it themselves, hoping that one day they will join you in the fight. But they never do. This is the most exhausting role of all, because it is fueled by the most powerful energy, hope, and it leads to the ultimate spiritual crossroad. Do you continue to pour your life force into a project that refuses to be built, or do you make the most painful, courageous, and loving choice of all? This is where we move beyond simply setting boundaries and into a profound spiritual practice. Sacred detachment. Detachment is not the same as indifference. Indifference is cold. It says, I don't care. Detachment is warm yet clear. It says, I care about you so deeply that I will not stand in the way of your soul's journey. I love you too much to rob you of the lessons that life is trying to teach you. Sacred detachment is the act of radically loving someone by handing them back the full responsibility for their own life. It is withdrawing your interference, your fixing, your rescuing, so that they can finally come face to face with the true consequences of their own choices. It is the understanding that the crisis they are avoiding, the one you keep saving them from, is very likely the exact event that contains their medicine, their breakthrough, their reason to finally change. Your help has been keeping them from their own healing. This is the ultimate transformation for you, the rescuer. It is the moment you abdicate that role and step into a new, more powerful, and more sustainable one, the lighthouse. Think about it. A lighthouse does not run all over the island, chasing after ships and guiding them to shore. It does not exhaust itself. It does not discriminate between good ships and bad ships. It simply anchors itself to the rock, tends to its own light, and shines. For any and all who are ready to see it, it offers a steady, reliable beacon, a point of orientation in the darkness. It does not force anyone to turn towards it. It simply is. This is your new calling. Your work is no longer to rescue, but to radiate. Your primary responsibility is to tend to your own light, your joy, your peace, your stability, your growth. You become so rooted in your own well-being that your very presence offers a different possibility to those around you. You help not by doing, but by being. This changes everything. The question is no longer, who should I stop helping? The true empowered question becomes, where is my precious energy best invested to create the most growth for myself and for the world? You will find that when you stop pouring energy into the black holes and the fortresses and the shadow plays, you will have an astonishing surplus. You can then invest that energy into good soil, into people who are genuinely struggling but are also taking responsibility, into projects that align with your soul, into your own creative expression, into communities that foster mutual growth. When you help the right people at the right time, in the right way, the result is not depletion. It is synergy. It energizes both of you. So have the courage to step back, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the quiet, powerful love of sacred detachment. Understand that sometimes letting someone fall is the only way they will learn to fly. And your greatest gift to them and to yourself is to trust them to their own journey. In the end, you cannot save anyone. You can only become a safe harbor, a well-lit beacon. Whether they choose to sail towards you or not is, and always must be, up to them. I want to leave you with a final thought to carry with you. I invite you to share in the comments, not a story about someone you had to let go of, but a story about a boundary you set. A boundary you set not to punish another, but to honor yourself, and in doing so, allowed both of you the freedom to grow. Let's create a handbook of wise compassion together, sharing the moments where stepping back was the biggest step forward.